Hello everyone, welcome to The Good, The Bad, the TNA Impact Wrestling for November 3rd, 2011's TNA Impact. And essentially what I'm going to do is go through and review the show, review the major points, or at least what I think are the major points there, and just go off on my personal opinion of what I thought of the show. First of all, first thing I want to go through, they have Mr. Anderson and Jeff Hardy teaming up again, and honestly we saw this over a year and a half ago. Why are we seeing it again now, outside of maybe the point that they're just trying to further storylines with Bully Ray and Jeff Jarrett respectively for the two people there. And honestly, the match itself didn't feel like it did anything for me. They just had Scott Steiner come out and interfere in the match. It was an okay match, but nothing spectacular, and it just didn't seem like they furthered storylines. And in another case of somebody leaving the WWE, comes back to comes into TNA, and let's put a title on them. Gail Kim has the TNA Knockout Tag Team Championships along with Madison Rayne. Honestly, doesn't really seem to do anything. I believe they're just building up for Gail Kim's title shot against Velvet Sky at the pay-per-view. She'll more than likely lose there because they can further storyline and at least make this go a little bit further with this whole Karen Jarrett favoring Madison Rayne and Gail Kim and this whole feud she has with Velvet Sky going on that aspect. Hopefully it doesn't lead to a thing where Karen ends up winning the Knockouts title. Hopefully it'll lead eventually to a point of Gail Kim winning it. She's talented in the ring and more than likely she does deserve having the titles put on her and put into good storylines. So hopefully the storyline will go that way and it will end up being good. Honestly, the way they built up the Matt Morgan Crimson match, they made it to be bigger than what it really is. Both those guys, Matt Morgan is, I guess, what I would believe to be big in TNA. Crimson is still kind of wishy-washy of what they're doing. They're building him up with the streak, but he's still kind of wishy-washy with the fans. It's hard to tell if they care or they don't care, or if they think he's a face or whatnot on that. But they're building this match to be bigger than what it is. They're calling it they had Matt Morgan call it a dream match, and well, honestly, I don't think many people would really want to see the match, or even really a storyline between the two of them. I don't know that it's going to resolve or go into a storyline, or this is just going to be one of those storylines where it's friendly competition. More than likely, hopefully that's all it is that they build the storyline to be nothing more than friendly competition. They do a match and then they're done, because honestly, it's not as big as they put it out to be. And well, let's go into another case here, and I'm just going to go straight into the main event on this one. Well, let's not go to the main event yet, because they're obviously getting Christopher Daniels away from AJ Styles, and they're more focusing him towards an RVD feud. You had a nice little backstage segment going into pretty much a long area of fight between the two of them and the backstage moments, and hopefully that'll end up actually being something good. They're doing something new. They're doing something new with this Christopher Daniels, where he used as a screwdriver, as a weapon, and everything. So they'll probably throw that into there, and we'll see where that feud actually ends up going. Now let's go into the main event. And I'll be honest with you, this would have been good if they did it 2 weeks ago. If they would have given Bobby Roode the title at the pay-per-view instead of going the whole route that they did. Bobby Roode was obviously a fan favorite. He's good in the ring. He has the crowd behind him, and they don't give him the title of Bound for Glory. I don't see why they don't do it. It would have been good. It would have been perfect for them to do it there, but they decided to go a different route. So they have James Storm win the TNA title, and then they do a #1 contenders match the next week, which was pretty obvious because they just threw Samoa Joe in there, and it was pretty much, hey, it's going to be James Storm versus Bobby Roode this week. And honestly, they could have drugged this out to be a little bit more. They could have had a good competitive match with either one of them winning it, and then doing something more on the pay-per-view. And essentially, they just had Bobby Roode do a long and really good match, and to do a heel turn at the end of it. Honestly, this is not, in my personal opinion, this is something they should have saved for pay-per-view. This should have been saved for a bigger stage. And they just rushed it into what is going to be maybe a rushed feud, or it's going to lead into something completely different. But it felt rushed, and I don't know why they went that route, where they could have just gone the route of him being the face champion and going on into these moments, and then down the road, maybe in a few months, perform the heel turn on James Storm and do it that way. You could have done it on pay-per-view. You could have done it. It could have, in my personal opinion, it could have been done a lot better than what they did. But they went the route where they had Bobby Roode get screwed out of the title, then James Storm wins the title, and now Bobby Roode gets the #1 contendership, and then screws James Storm out of the title himself by cheating to win. And honestly, it came off bad doing it so soon, and in my personal opinion, it just did not work. It just did not work for me. I did not think the show, it didn't benefit the feud, it didn't benefit the characters in there, and it honestly just didn't benefit the show in that area. And honestly, the entire show just felt like it was lacking in something this week, and once again, it wasn't because of bad in-ring action, because it was good in-ring action. It was just storytelling outside of the ring, and storytelling, somewhat inside of the ring as well. It just felt like it was completely lacking. And I'm kind of a little bit lost in my track of thought here, but it was just not all that great in my personal opinion. We can see where they go with the feuds after in the upcoming weeks. Maybe they'll, I can't say write themselves into a hole or into a corner, but they'll be doing something obviously with James Storm and Bobby Roode in the upcoming weeks, and honestly, they'll be, and of course, furthering their other feuds. That's pretty much all I have. And once again, these are only my personal opinions on the show. Sorry, towards the end there, I was kind of losing my train of thought. But that's pretty much all I have for this week for the TNA Impact Wrestling. And thank you guys for watching.